All right, welcome into a Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show live here from the UDL as we are solo. Lizzie and I are here on this Monday morning. We're going to talk to Wilson Alexander from The Advocate 1 hour from now. Wilson will tell us about what it's like covering this LSU football team right now. We'll get some thoughts on who might be next following up Ed Ogeron. We'll talk to Wilson about that coming up here at 8 o'clock this morning. 8:15, we're going to link up with one of our favorites, Joey Mulinaro from Barstool Sports, master impressionist. We'll stop by here. We'll get some reaction from Ogeron and Saban here on this Monday morning from Mulinaro, and we'll catch up with him and see what he's got going on here now with Barstool Sports. And then at 8:45, we're looking forward to a conversation with somebody special to our community, LeVar Robinson, who runs Fathers on a Mission, which is a cool initiative that LeVar will tell us about here as we close out the show. Lots to get to. Saints fall yesterday. It's kind of a brutal football weekend for you as it was teased out in front of you. You had a chance to beat Alabama on the road. You had Atlanta on the ropes. You were going to come back and beat them in the fourth quarter on a Sunday in the Dome. And Cordial Patterson streaks down the sideline for a 65-yarder from Matty Ice to set up a game-winning field goal for the Falcons, who walks it off at the buzzer.
The Falcons tried to Falcon so hard.
Yes, they did.
And you could feel it. Even with Taysom Hill, our boy, Trevor Siemian, who looks, I saw this on the internet and it rings true, he looks like a Manning. He's got like Manning face, where he's like in that helmet and with that hair. He looks like a blend of all of them together. And I was dying laughing, thinking, I wish he played like one, but he didn't play bad. But the Falcons tried to give that thing away, and just, I guess, the Saints ran out of time. What our weekend if you're an LSU fan or a Saints fan or just a fan of Louisiana in general?
So just say a brutal football weekend for you here as Ed Ogeron will be speaking with the press coming up here today at noon. That will be in person. Looking forward to getting back out and seeing all the media members that are over there. That was always
the press.
Always a good stop for the press to kind of catch up on what's going on. I've missed those Monday press conferences that got opened back up to the public last week. We'll be there today. Ole Miss football Twitter, somebody lost their job.
Or got a pocket raise.
I don't know. I don't know if you can keep them.
I don't know.
If you, for as much as the public comments were made, whoever sent that tweet or tweets about Hugh Freeze, we'll tell you about those coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show. It's a good play. Remember, daily we're brought and driven to you by Go Chevrolet. Our friends over at Go Chevrolet, Lee Carney, Nick Richard, the entire crew. Brand is growing over at Go Chevrolet. They've extended the family and the reach out into the state of Tennessee. You can check them out online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Go's used car lot, Go Express Auto Sales here in Baton Rouge, Florida, and Sherwood. Daily, our water is brought to you by True Blue Water. Our official spice is Papa Earl's, 30% less sodium than the competition. Wherever you pick up your spices locally, grab a can of Papa Earl's. That is at High Neighbor, Calandro's, Rouse's, all over the place. And then our coffee, Majestic Coffee, DeliciousSips.com. Hit them online and get on the delivery route today, DeliciousSips.com. Looking forward to this Monday show. Thank you for starting your day off with us here on this Sunday. If you're here starting with us, make sure and hit that like button for us. If you want to share it, we'd appreciate that very much. Comments are cool for us. Any type of interaction gets us in front of more eyeballs, and that's what we're trying to do. If you're supporting the show, we are grateful for that. That's how you can help us out. Just a like, share, comment, any type of interaction with us on the Jordy Culotta Show helps us out. I guess you would classify this weekend as brutal for a South Louisiana sports fan, right? I mean, LSU was minus 28.5. It was creeping to 30 by kickoff on Saturday. We had a minus to 27.5 going into it and felt really, really good about it on Saturday morning. But as soon as that game kicked off on Saturday, it felt as if LSU was going to show up and play. You didn't know if it was going to be for a series. You didn't know if it was going to be a quarter, a half, or maybe they were going to be able to put this thing together for 4 quarters and make it a game. And that's exactly what LSU did. We talked a lot about it last night on our Sunday night show, brought to you by Lance Beal, attorney at law down there in Acadiana. And then even on Saturday night, we did a companion watch show during the fourth quarter and wrapped it up a little bit during the post game with Rohan. And I mean, that was really the sentiment, was the surprise at the effort, the energy. And I think it's a great testament to unstarred, unranked guys coming in and still showing that if you evaluate right and you can get the right guys in, it really doesn't matter what the recruiting rankings say next to their name. Sure, it's easy to look at the guys that have 5-4 stars next to them and expect them to shell out and play big on big games, but to see the way that some of those guys responded on Saturday night, especially on the defense, I mean, I think that obviously Cam Lewis, Darren Evans, some of those guys jump off. Dwight McLaughlin jumps off for some of the plays that those guys made. But even Mike Jones Jr., I mean, the way that he was running around out there, and that's exactly who LSU thought they were getting, right? I mean, we've talked about kind of the conundrum of Mike Jones Jr. here through the early part of the season. And, I mean, one of the head-scratching deals is that LSU recruited this guy. I mean, you knew exactly who you were getting. You were almost getting Jabril Cox 2.0. I mean, or almost another, kind of
version of
Jabril Cox. And to see the way that he was able to run around out there, cover ground in open space, get to the passer. I mean, some of those blitzes and some of the ways that they were applying pressure, I mean, that was beautiful to see. I think they had 8 pressures or brought 8 blitzes last night. We talked to BJ Ojulari on Sunday night, and he was fantastic as usual. If you missed it, you can check it out. It's actually it's here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, it's all podcasted for you, and all of that is always brought back to you by RMB Builders, our friends over at RMB Builders. Rhett Bourgeois and the crew are online at rmb-builders.com. But they provide all of our podcasts and bring back our sound here on the Jordy Culotta Show. But BJ was talking about how really during the bye week, they changed a lot of things up, man. I mean, a lot of the way that they play, a lot of the looks. I think that was almost, kind of looking back on it, if you recall, seeing the emergence of Mike Jones and how much he played on Saturday night, and then hearing that, like, Bug Strong was going into the transfer portal, it all kind of makes sense that during that bye week, they were obviously shaking some things up.
Not only that, Bug Strong probably saw Mike Jones get out there. He's like, oh, shit, I can't compete with this guy. Like, for what they want to do on defense, Mike Jones makes perfect sense. If they're going to bring the blitz like that and bring heavy pressure and rely on, if Mike Jones is a blitz and he's either spying or he was covering in man coverage, which is that's what you brought him here to do.
Yeah.
Bug Strong can't do those things, so I'm sure he saw that version of the defense. Mike Jones can come back next year if he wants, which I'd imagine he would, considering he doesn't have a lot of tape from LSU out there. And maybe that was a little part of the game plan to kind of keep him, in the system and not put him out there as much so he could come back next year and be your middle linebacker. But if you're Bug Strong, I don't blame you if you saw what Mike Jones did. If he looked like that on the practice field on Saturday, then why, I don't know if there's a spot for you there.
The blitz packages on Saturday night was that was exciting to see. I mean, that's how you expect LSU football to play on that side of the ball. I mean, we've said a couple of times here, watching Georgia play is really depressing because it really reminds you of what LSU looked like between 2004 through 2012. I mean, they just flying around, freaks on freak athletes on defense, just playing well in space, talking shit, getting up in your face. I mean, just that style of play, and to see the way that they were playing on Saturday night, speaking about LSU, it kind of felt retro. I mean, it kind of felt a little kind of like an ode to the past there, especially that zero all-out blitz at the end of the game where you forced a sack fumble in a big spot, recover the fumble. Jaquelin Roy puts you in good space and, I mean, gives you an opportunity. LSU had 4 opportunities to win that game on Saturday night. I got to imagine, for as close as they were and as exciting as that was, I mean, on the plane ride back, if you're a coach or a player watching that film thinking, damn, I mean, that was cool and fun, and we were the better team, but we should have won. LSU should have won that game 4 times on Saturday night.
Yeah, don't tell that to Coach O, though. Seems like he was absolutely content with, I know that he won't say this, but it seems like him leaving the field and him pumping his chest at the Alabama fans, it all was good fun. Like, obviously that's his last stand in Alabama, last time going to T-Town, so he let the fans know about it. And it felt like he was almost celebrating not only himself, but a little bit of a win. Like, it felt like a moral victory, which at this point, who cares? Because LSU obviously isn't going to do anything to rattle the cages. That was their last chance to really make a statement or ruin Alabama's season. But to see them go in and play that well, you have to have a little bit of when you put your head on the pillow at night, like, oh, we kind of let that one slip away. LSU should have won the game.
I mean, if you're a coach in that game and you're looking at some, not of the decisions, because we can be critical in hindsight in 2020. I thought LSU played to win the game and really had the better team, and you have to coach off a feel in those games. And, we can go back and criticize at the 6:48 mark whether or not you should have kicked a field goal. I think you should have, just because of the way your defense was playing and you were going to get the ball back. I mean, it just judging by the flow of the game up to that point, the defense was really the difference maker on Saturday night. And Bryce Young and that offense, Bill O'Brien, really, I mean, they were kind of handcuffed for a while. Yeah, they were confused. And they were also being pushed around. I mean, that to me, the most surprising part about Saturday night was obviously the down roster for LSU traveling into Tuscaloosa and competing with that elite group. But moreover, the way that they were shoving that, I mean, me and Kelly were watching the game. I said, shit. I mean, through the second quarter, I said, they're shoving Alabama off the ball. I mean, Ty Davis Price on a couple of carries. I mean, he didn't get touched till 3 or 4 yards past the line of scrimmage, which was shocking to see. I mean, it was shocking to see. But then into the third and fourth quarter, you start thinking, well, hell, I mean, LSU's the better team tonight.
It's so crazy how that can happen.
The 12 men on the field. The penalties by Alabama, the demeanor,
the intentional grounding, things that just don't happen to Alabama football. They were rattled in their own home stadium because it seems like they thought, I mean, they were cutting to the bench in like the first and second quarter of Alabama, and the defense was sitting there like big chill and laughing, like, thinking that at some point LSU is going to run out of juice. They were never concerned until you got in that third and fourth quarter. And the stadium never really got alive because I think they were shocked. Like, everybody in the building was like, how is LSU still hanging around in this football game? And I guess if you're Alabama and Bill O'Brien, you saw things that you haven't seen on film because LSU has never played this style of football this year. And it was just a total, like, you have to throw the game plan out the window and start from scratch because they're going to bring pressure every play.
It was fascinating to see the way that LSU competed on Saturday night. Can they carry that over for the last 3 weeks? I think is a big question because of just how big that spot was in Tuscaloosa and how much, look, there was NFL scouts there. There were NFL general managers in Bryant Denny on Saturday night. I mean, there was there were a lot of eyeballs on that game. And, like we said last night, if you were watching nationally or you're flipping around nationally on a Saturday night and you see LSU Alabama, a one-score game on a Saturday night on primetime television on ESPN, you're stopping and watching. So there were a lot of people watching that game. I think that had the LSU Bama feel really kind of outside the market more than it did inside of the market. But once that game started to go and you saw the flow of it, I mean, people, I was at the ballpark yesterday. Jordan finished up his tackle saying, everybody. I mean, they should have won that game. They should have won that game. I mean, they had their chances to win that game, and they definitely did.
Isn't that the litmus test for Coach O though? Like, isn't that the ultimate frustrating moment of his tenure, wherever they can lose to UCLA the way they did, where they got pushed around with everybody? He had all of their studs. You had the LSU football team you thought you would have going into this season, and they look soft, and then they come back. He gets fired, lose to Auburn. That way you do at home, at night, when that was really the precipice of the season where it could fall off the cliff after a home loss to Auburn, and you saw the two programs kind of go in different directions from that point. Then O gets, fired, beats Florida in an 11 o'clock game that you had no business playing in, and then that sends Florida the other way. And now you see then LSU loses 2 straight, and you have Coach O and LSU go into Alabama and be the more physical team, the more dominating team that you were looking for all year, blitzing on everywhere on defense. Shades of Chad Jones and John Parker Wilson on the last play. Whenever he comes through and gets the sack, and was that in Tuscaloosa? It's like same scenario, and it would just looked like old school LSU football. And you see Coach O dancing on the sidelines. You're like, this is what it could have been the entire time. And for some reason, it got lost along the way. And it's the ultimate head scratching. It's the ultimate, paint the picture for Coach O's tenure in my mind of they ebb and flow and go as he goes. It's almost like they're built around his mindset.
Yeah, and if you saw Jacques' Twitter from Saturday night, Jacques had a camera, I guess, kind of sitting on Ogeron during the game, and you could see that he was in a different element, man. I mean, like
at a rock concert,
even like on the run out as they're running out, like Ogeron kind of veers off path and goes through Alabama's, almost cheer section. I guess that would be like their edition of the Golden Girls. Ogeron kind of like
over there.
He kind of like veers left and kind of cuts up the middle of a row of the dancers and kind of comes up and he's smiling, and then he's, I have no problem of him flashing the L's and beating his chest in the student section. I mean, that's who you hired. Like that's who Coach O is really at his heart. But I mean, you could tell on Saturday night, man, he was on it. He was on one. I mean, he kept looking at Saban to the sidelines and giving him like the boom, boom, boom. Like, look, I mean, you had to think like Saban's like looking across the field like, look at this guy, dude. He's losing his mind over there.
And if you're like on the opposing side, like they look like they're kind of having fun. Like,
yeah,
we're about to get our asses chewed because I was talking to I'm playing the clip right now on the screen. I hope Jock doesn't mind. But we were talking about it, me and my buddies after the game. Like, you have to feel awful if you're going into, like, Nick Saban's going to, like, all right, break the team down, whatever, after, like, great win, not a great win. Like, he's not going to tell you anything, like, no practice Sunday, whatever. You show up on Monday, you know you're in for a world of hurt. And if you were, like, on an Alabama recruit or LSU recruit, you're watching the sidelines, like, all right, I get this LSU thing. I get that they're going in there with absolutely no, like, I don't want to say no plan, but no fear. They're just going to play. They're going to go for it on fourth down. They're going to fake punts. They got their coach dancing on the sidelines like he's at a rave. It just seemed like a party for an away game.
It was wild, man.
It was a wild scene.
I mean, on Max Johnson's fumble that got called back, and he's like flashing the left hand, the first down. Here it is right here. We're showing it on the TV, and this is compliments of Jacques Doucet Twitter. Make sure that you follow Jacques on Twitter, and we retweeted it, and make sure that you like it and retweet it. But, I mean, just a little – you see, I mean, Ogeron was – he was kind of on it, man. I mean, he was egging on the home crowd. He was constantly kind of going back and forth. It looked like he was kind of playing into the sidelines. But LSU falls 20-14 on Saturday night and had golden opportunities to win that game. And look, immediately after, everybody was talking about the play of Max Johnson, and you can go directly to what Rohan had to say right after the game. That was compliments, of course, of Fletcher Painting, Brian Fletcher Painting, who sponsors Rohan when he's here every week. And Ro was talking a little bit about Max. And I think let's jump out in front of this. We got on pretty good information on Saturday, or on Sunday, the day after the game, with a lot of questions about Garrett Nussmeier and asking whether or not, Nussmeier is a real option right now. I've got it on pretty good information that Nussmeier and his family are urging LSU, not so much urging, but would rather redshirt than burn it here in the first season. And he's played in 3 games. You can play in 4, so you can play him in a final one. I don't know if they wanted to beat or burn the red shirt, on the road at Alabama, where the game was kind of tight, and Max, for how he was struggling, you still had to put Garrett Nussmeier back behind that offensive line. And it wasn't as if, Nussmeier was going to go in there and you burn the red shirt and, a good thing could happen. You don't want him to leave his freshman season on a sour note, right?
Well, you've seen what can happen whenever you put freshmen out against Alabama. Like, I know that for what you saw the Alabama defense, it was still very good. But when you put like fresh blood out there and they can, the lights gets bright, you saw what happened to every.
And look, Nussmeier, I think, has answered a lot of the questions here early on, and has shown you that he's never going to be scared of the moment. And I don't think that he would have been fearful of Saturday night, but Saturday night's different than anything he's ever seen.
Absolutely.
And you just can't just say, hey, 5, get out there and save it. And expect it to happen and not think about the residual effect of what could happen mentally, what could happen, possibly physically. And if the family is requesting a red shirt and get to a new coach and just kind of start from scratch, I understand that you still have to run a football team and you still have to win the game. But in the back of your head, you're thinking, look, I mean, we should respect that. And LSU, I think that's the premise that they're playing under. And I'll say this about Max, and I listen to Rose speak about it, and a lot of people that are smarter than me speak about Max Johnson, on Saturday night. Did he miss plays? He missed some golden opportunities. He missed opportunities to win that game. If he steps up and hits Besh on that crossing route, Jack Besh might still be running in the fourth quarter. If he hits Besh again on the final drive where they roll him to the left, which, I don't understand that stuff. It did make a lot of sense, and but if he just could throw Besh into an open space, Besh still might be running on that one. Does he hold on to the football too long? He does. Does his feet get him in trouble more than his arm does? It looked like it on Saturday night. He bails out of some throws that if he steps up and steps into, you'd like to see what the outcome could be. Notably, the Trey Palmer fourth down late in the game, deep inside Alabama territory, goal situation, and then later in the game, Besh on the crossing route. I thought he was really, like Besh said when he got to the sideline, if you read his lips, I was effing wide open. But I also think that Max Johnson, in the evolution of a quarterback as a sophomore, was his 9th or 10th start from a career standpoint on the road against Alabama behind a really
shoddy,
mediocre to below average offensive line. Now, they played over their skis on Saturday night and really played well, and they gave him opportunities. And a lot of the times I thought he stepped into the rush and into the sack more than he could have, just simply slid or stepped up and got away from it. But again, that's young quarterback play. And I think that it is not unfair, because I think it comes with the territory, but to expect Nussmeier to be significantly better behind that line, I think is probably a little asking too much of a young guy and where Johnson is. Now, do I believe that Johnson is going to have to fight and compete for his life in the offseason versus Nussmeier and versus Walker Howard coming in? I do. I really do, because he's got to progress. He's got to get better in from game 1 this season through game 8 this season. He has not made the strides that you would like to see him make. But I also think that you have to account for that the offensive line has been a revolving door. He's been running for his life a lot of the time. And that goes into creating happy feet and bailing out and mentally saying to yourself, man, I don't want to get killed again. I mean, he took some shots on Saturday night, and I know being a tough quarterback does not make you a good quarterback. But that's a tough SOB, man.
No doubt.
That cat takes some shots, and he pops right back up and plays the next play. I thought he was seeing double for a couple of plays there. I really did. I mean, they took him into the tent early on, got him out pretty quick, but it still looked like he was kind of shuffling his feet when he was walking. And I'm not making excuses for him, because he had opportunities to win that game. Johnson has to look at that film on Sunday morning and into this week and just be brutally just cut by what he sees, because he had opportunities to be hero. And he's got to learn from that. And I hope you see the progression into Arkansas. Because I'll tell you this, from my opinion and the people that I've spoke to, the 2021 edition of the LSU football team, Max Johnson's the quarterback for as long as he's healthy. And that's your guy. And you got a month left. You got 4 games. And best case scenario for LSU fans out there is that this guy continues to improve, learn from mistakes, figure out how to work and manage the pocket, step up and make good throws. And if he does that, you've got an incumbent quarterback going into a competition with a 5-star guy who's the #1 quarterback in the country right now, who threw for just under 600 yards and 6 touchdowns.
On a broken leg.
On Friday night on a broken leg. And Garrett Nussmeier, who a year into college looks like he's going to be a really exciting player. So LSU's quarterback competition, for as dire as it looked last year or into the spring or into the fall when Finley's leaving and and Brennan's tripping and falling, you don't know what's the competition's going to look like. You're right back into a healthy room of, if Max Johnson can progress through the next couple of weeks, work on his pocket management, and how to, really navigate and work in the pocket, step up and make throws, and then go into the offseason where you've got a really good quarterback competition coming in. I mean, you get the number one quarterback in the country, Garrett Nussmeier, who a lot of people are barking and wanting, and Max Johnson, who is going to be the incumbent after what hopefully is a good, positive last month of the season for him. Because I think there are some things on Saturday night that you can grow from if you're Johnson in a young quarterback tenure. I mean, you can look at that as a young guy, as a sophomore who's just making his double-digit start, his 10th start of his career, on the road at Alabama behind an offensive line that's been shuffling people all season long, and say, I got to learn how to manage the pocket.
Well, isn't that what concerns you about Max Johnson, considering what you saw last year, where it seemed like he was very calm, cool, collected in the pocket, was making the right decisions, and was able to, like Rohan said, he didn't do on Saturday, he was able to lead people to the spot. That was what really kind of won him the job, was his ability to put people into space, and he kind of commanded that offense. And now when you see him this year, it looks like the offensive line has almost got him to the point where he's got happy feet and seeing goes.
He's thinking about what's happening around him rather than looking
playing
like
football.
he's reading and reacting to the coverage. He's also thinking about what's on my back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where's it coming from? Where's the pressure going to collapse at? And that's a bad way to play quarterback. You know what I mean? That's an anxious way to play quarterback.
And then when you look ahead to the future, this will be his third offensive coordinator in 3 years, coming back to LSU. So he has to learn a new system when it seems like he had trouble. I don't know if it was digesting this system or they put too much on his shoulders from the beginning for him to have to, point out the mic, set protection, check with me, do all of these things. So hopefully I would imagine a more simplified offense. You could just kind of let him go be an athlete, let him go play. And then my other question is, did Miles Brennan transfer too early? Because if he was available, I think he would have gotten some snaps and could have lived out the LSU dream. Come in the second half, been the hero for LSU football against Alabama, carried off the field that whole 9 yards. If he doesn't hit the transfer portal the week before LSU Alabama.
I mean, it's a hell of a question. I mean, we'll never know the answer, but a lot of people's first
because if he was on the sidelines and
was just that, why now? You know? So I think that the timing would be questioned on that. And sure, maybe. They could have what could have been, but I mean that's
the story on Brennan.
It will be Brennan, right? That'll always be Brennan, kind of like at LSU. What could have been, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
He's always 1 week too early or 1 week too late. It just seems like it never works out for him because if he sticks around on he said he's healthy and he could play, and I would imagine you don't want to go out there and be your first game against Alabama and take a shot on that arm and see what happens. But if he's on the sidelines, that controversy gets ramped up to 10. Like, if Nussmeier's getting called for, who's played a handful of games, if you have Miles Brennan, who was an LSU starter, you obviously saw what he can do in his limited time last year, and he's just on the sidelines, I'd imagine the barking would have been very loud for Brennan to get in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Daily, we're brought to you by A-Bears Specialty Meats. Remember, A-Bears is located on Highway 73 in Ascension Parish, and if you're tailgating this week or you need something to throw into the oven and eat on, stop in and picked up a deboned stuffed chicken over at A-Bears Specialty Meats. Highway 73 out in Prairieville, Dutchtown Shopping Center. Easy to find them there. They got a freezer full of goodies over there as well, man. Not just the deboned stuffed chicken. They've got ground patties. They've got steaks. They've got specialty meats to choose from. So if you're looking for dinner or sausage links to throw on the grill later this week, stop in over at A-Bears. They've got great selections of boudin and crackling as well. Highway 73, Dutchtown Shopping Center, and then coming soon to Baton Rouge. Remember, over at Robert's Grocery Store, which is the Kenilworth Shopping Center on Highland Road, located in the same shopping center as Superior Bar and Grill. A-Bears Specialty Meats is coming into Robert's Grocery Store. About 630 square feet of space will be located in the back of Robert's, where you can stop, pick up anything from the freezer selections to the specialty meats that you know and love to choose from over at A-Bears. A-Bears Specialty Meats, you can find them online at abearsmeats.com. Originated out in Maurice in the Lafayette area and now over here in Ascension on Highway 73. And, of course, coming to Baton Rouge very soon here to the Robert's Grocery Store A-Bear Specialty Meats. Something else that is happening that we've got to watch out for, obviously, with the coaching changes at LSU, is it looks like this Florida job is about to open up. Dan Mullen, and we'll get back to some LSU stuff coming up here in about 30 minutes. Wilson Alexander, who covers LSU football for the Advocate, will stop by, and we'll ask him some of the things that he saw at Tuscaloosa on Saturday night, what he expects to hear from Orgeron here coming up, and some of the names that he may be hearing behind the scenes, because I think that one aspect which could come in to be an outlying factor of this LSU job is going to be whether or not this Florida job opens up. And it feels like it is not if, it feels like it is when. The Florida program right now is spiraling. They were beat 40-17 versus South Carolina on Saturday night, and they got rolled up by a quarterback over at South Carolina in Jason Brown, who was making his first FBS start. He was the third-string quarterback. Florida only was able to manage 82 yards on the ground. And look, one of the stories of the Alabama-LSU game that we didn't talk about on that defense, Alabama only rushed for 6 yards, which is crazy to think about. I mean, that is nuts. That is nuts. But the Florida, back to Florida, 82 yards on the ground, which caused Mullen to make a move after the game where he fired Todd Grantham, his defensive coordinator, and John Hevesy from the offensive line and the run game coordinator, who has been with Mullen since 2001. Like, he's been with Mullen for 21 years, since they were back at Utah. With Urban Meyer and Alex Smith.
He had to fall on the sword.
He had to fall on the sword, so which shows you how bad it is in Gainesville. And if Mullen is having to make those and look, the move now is after Florida is 4-5, most lopsided loss to South Carolina in school history, according to sources. And I'm reading this from a Yahoo article that was published on Mullen's status right now. Says that Mullen told the coaches, both whom he goes back to his Mississippi State days, and as for Hevesy, goes back 21 years with him, that he needed to create a spark for the rest of the season. The Gators are below 500 for the first time in Mullen's tenure at Florida. Mullen said after the Florida loss to South Carolina on Saturday night that the roster had been depleted by the flu, and that they had anywhere from 20 to 30 players that missed practice during the week. Now, people that are covering the program is saying that nobody's got the flu, that he's losing the grip of the locker room, that people are starting to, kind of look around, bounce around. And obviously he made headline news after the 34-7 loss to Georgia a couple of weeks back when he was asked directly about recruiting. And he says that, right now you're in season. They're going to talk about, just what's happening on the field, and we'll talk about recruiting in the offseason, and that's what he saves recruiting for. And it's, compared next to the Kirby Smart bite of him talking about how you're always recruiting, and Kirby Smart in Florida looking like the national champs here early in November.
Wait. Did that quote get taken out of context? Like, I don't want to talk about recruiting during the season. That doesn't mean he's not recruiting. It just means
But the tone definitely did have...
Well, he has terrible tone. He's got bitch face.
He does. He's got... he's easy to not like.
Yeah, he's just got
easy
that
to hate. And he wants you to believe that he's the smartest guy in every room.
He's an embarrassment to the Jordan brand, by the way.
Yes.
They should stop sending him sneakers.
And it feels like it's only a matter of time before that Florida job opens. And what type of residual effect that will have on the LSU job is going to be interesting to watch and see, because I will tell you this. I believe that Billy Napier is going to be a player at the Florida job. Scott Strickland, who's the athletics director at Florida, came over for Mississippi State. He was a guy that really understands the SEC. He is a guy who understands the landscape of the SEC. He knows some of the hot names. He knows some of the names that are being discussed. And he was at Mississippi State when Billy Napier was a true candidate to get that job. And now Napier, his name is very much trending in some of the circles of these big open jobs like LSU, potentially Florida, USC, Miami could open.
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech is open right now. TCU is open. So, I mean, there are some schools out there that are looking for coaches that Napier is going to be on the top of the list. And I've got it on pretty good information, and about as rock solid information as I can get, that Napier has told the sources at LSU, has told the suits at LSU, the people that are in charge of it, he's told Scott Woodward that he's not listening to any other school until LSU makes a decision. So Billy Napier has kind of shown his hand to LSU of, I want the job. I want it more than any other job in the country, and I'll wait to see what happens and decision you make before I react to any other opening. And I don't know whether that's goes in good favor for him, but I do have it on pretty good word that has been the message from Napier's camp to the LSU side, that he is all in on wanting the gig. Now, we talked a little bit about it last night. We talked more about it on Friday with Rohan, and Rohan is as close to Jimbo Fisher as anybody in this process. Roe will just get in his truck and drive over to College Station on a Tuesday and spend, 72 hours at the facility just watching film and hanging out with Jimbo in season.
Which he's done this year.
He has done a couple of times this year. But he said on Friday that Jimbo's name is for real. People throughout the weekend that are close to this, when you ask him about it, Jimbo's name seems to come up as one of the first that people talk about with this gig being open. I don't know if it's a familiarity with Scott Woodward and him working directly with Jimbo. It goes back to their days at LSU, whatever it is, whether they had a backroom deal done in College Station by leaving the no buyout. I mean, all of that stuff has been discussed about Jimbo, or even Jimbo being asked about it a couple of weeks back and leaving the door kind of cracked on whether or not you were interested. Jimbo's name feels like it's for real. Billy Napier's name feels like it's for real. Mel Tucker, I know that we watched the outcome of the game this past Saturday in West Lafayette as Michigan State was upset by Purdue, who is just, king
giant
killers, bro.
They still have Ohio State left on the schedule.
Top five. That's the second top five team that they've beaten by double-digit points this season. They beat Iowa earlier this year.
That was at Iowa.
But Michigan State fell. And look, like we said last night, I don't believe that Scott Woodward is watching the week-to-week outcomes on whether or not who's going to get the job. If your name's in the mix, your name's in the mix. It doesn't matter, whether, unless your team falls off a cliff.
Unless you Mullen it.
Yeah, right. Unless you start just going Dan Mullen on the whole thing. But, Jimbo's name, Billy Napier's name, Mel Tucker's name, and as we said last night, the one that's off the board, the guys that are on the board for me, and this is just me, and as I've said, if anybody's telling you that they really know, they're lying to you. They don't know. They don't know. Because Scott Woodward is operating and moving in silence here, and he doesn't want you to know who his guy is. But we're all educated around the game, and we all watch the game, and we see who could pop and whose name would probably be available, right? And my four guys in that instance is Jimbo Fisher, Dave Aranda, Billy Napier, and Mel Tucker. Put those guys in a hat, shake their name up in any type of order you want. Those are my top four. I think those are the four guys that Woodward's probably operating. You want one name off the board that makes sense, and if it was to land, you would step back, or at least I would step back and say, wow, that is a Scott Woodward hire to every degree, and it would be Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley's the name that we discussed it last night. Jimbo Fisher, Mel Tucker, Billy Napier, to a degree. Those names are kind of above surface level for LSU. Every time you talk about the LSU job, those names come up consistently. The one name that's kind of living under the surface and not as much in the open is Lincoln Riley. You ask around and people will say Riley might be a real candidate here. And it seems like that's something that Woodward would do. Like, that's kind of his MO. It's his shakeup. It's his splash. It's his, making an opponent weaker with Oklahoma coming into the SEC and stealing one of these young, flashy, bright coaches that's, been at one place for a while. And I don't know if it happens. I don't know if that's the guy, but that feels like something Scott Woodward would do. And if he was to hire Lincoln Riley, I can't say I would be shocked by it. Just because it feels like something behind the scenes while everybody's talking about Jimbo and Mel Tucker and Billy Napier. He's really in Norman, Oklahoma, getting the deal done with Lincoln Riley's agent. And as soon as it's fast enough or as soon as it's the time to announce that, they'll do that. And that would be, kind of Scott Woodward 101.
Given the option between the two, Jimbo Fisher and Lincoln Riley, both say yes. Which one do you think Scott would pick?
Lincoln Riley.
You think so?
I don't know if Scott would pick that. I think that Scott, I believe if Scott had his choice,
he would take Jimbo again,
wouldn't he? Probably just from a comfort level, it seems like, and just talking to people directly around Scott, that him and Jimbo have a really good relationship. They have a really confident, calm friendship.
Know what you're getting.
That you trust and understand that if I give you the keys to this $100 million operation, you can drive it as fast as you want, whenever you want. You can take it wherever you want to take it. And I'm going to sleep at night. It'll
be back in the garage in the morning.
You know what I mean? I don't have to worry about you running through the cheerleaders at Alabama. You know what I mean? While I love the play, you got to imagine that Woodward and his crew is just looking at it like, Jesus Christ. I mean, can we get past these next 3 weeks fast enough, please?
Can we win?
I mean, for God's sakes.
That is a funny optic of like Woodward in the booth and just like look at him go.
Christ,
he's
man,
on the sidelines.
Yeah,
he's just like hamming it up.
Look at this guy.
I don't know. I love it just because it's over.
Yeah.
So because if he was still like the head coach, it would be like this man can't quit himself. But the fact that he's doing like this victory tour of just the Coach O brand, it's cracking me up at this point because they played great. So you can't really be mad at him for losing that game because you had no business being in it. So if he wants to do that, it's peak Coach O. So everything but the shirt off.
So I wondered, he wanted to.
It's so bad.
He wanted to. So I wonder what the shakeup of Florida's opening will have on LSU, because I believe that Dave Aranda and Billy Napier would both take the Florida job. I don't think that Jimbo's a candidate in Florida. I think that he'll just stay at Texas A&M. The only job that he would listen to, I guess, would be LSU. You know what I mean? For the last couple of weeks, I got to be honest, I've really not found the entry point for me to buy into Jimbo. But the more and more you talk to people, and the more you hear people like Rohan and people that are around it and know kind of both sides, I mean, it's obviously real. And there has to have been some type of contact that is made, for as much as the smoke is billowing around Jimbo Fisher's name through some of the circles that, and look, I don't want to be contradictory, because I do believe that anybody that tells you that they know doesn't know, but a lot of people around, the other sides, not necessarily Scott Woodward and LSU side, but people that have connections to, there's a lot of people in Baton Rouge that still keep in touch with Jimbo. I mean, it's not just former players like Rowe. I mean, money managers like Peter Wright here locally, who's very successful. I mean, that's a good friend of Jimbo Fisher. I mean, they talk routinely. And I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying there are people in town that, Jimbo keeps up with, vacations with, talks to. And
love it here.
Yeah, those people would tell you, I mean, he would definitely come back. He would love to coach LSU. I
think so. Does it concern you a little bit that it might be one of the, you talk a lot about like Coach O and what he did in the good old boy system. Would this be like Scott Woodward's only good old boy hire? Because when you look at Jimbo's offensive production that you've seen throughout this year, it's not absolutely, how we doing? It's not absolutely, he's not melting record books or anything like that. Like they're scoring, 28 points a game in their last, I think 5 is what I saw. So it's not the exact, when you think Jimbo Fisher, you think offense, but that's not really what he's been able to do at Texas A&M. And I think some of that has to revolve around quarterback play, but he's not the splash that Lincoln Riley would be, certainly in terms of offense. But when you see him play, they win. Like he can make your team a contender every year. And I think when you talk about grabbing the keys to the car, LSU needs somebody somewhat stable, and Jimbo might be the most stable hire on the board because he's proven. And he can do it. When you think of Billy Napier, you think of them in the same vein, but Napier's never done it on the Power 5 level.
Win over Auburn on Saturday for Texas A&M was Jimbo's 17th win out of his last 20 games as the head coach at Texas A&M. We can talk about it all we want, but at a consistent rate, when you're winning like that, that's all programs are really signing up for and asking about. You know what I mean?
10 wins a year.
Can you get us to the win column at a consistent rate, like you have Texas A&M moving and like you had Florida State moving, he's shown he can build and maintain programs. I mean, he left that Florida State locker room in shambles, and I think that's really kind of the reason he knew he was leaving. He knew he was kind of on the way out.
Well, he asked for money, and they never gave it to him. So he said, well, I'm going to go somewhere where they'll give me $100 million and build me new stadiums and build me new resources, all of those things that he wanted at Florida State that they would never commit to, which is why Florida State will never be probably in the conversation until they commit to that. You know, you have to commit money to it for it to be a winner. Does his recruiting efforts concern you, considering he's bringing in Walter Nolan to Texas A&M? They've landed a couple other 5-stars in, like, the last couple of weeks have announced they're going to A&M. Is that more of, hey, I can flip these guys to LSU, or is it okay?
I mean, I think that's how recruiting works. You know,
they're following Jimbo. They're not going to A&M.
Some of them are. Some of them are going to Texas A&M. I mean, just look at LSU. I mean, you know, a lot of these guys doesn't look like we're committed to Ed Ogeron. Look like Aaron Anderson was at Carr. You know, he came out and said so, and now he's flipped Alabama. But you still got 14 guys that the majority of them have sent out tweets with the LSU Tiger head.
Solid.
And said solid. So, I mean, it looks like they're committed more to LSU than they are to a coaching staff. But there are some that are. And, you know, I mean, there's the Jacob Berries, I mean, the Harold Perkins of the world, the 5-star linebacker who is is he a Texas A&M commit or he's a Texas A&M lead? I saw was wearing the LSU gloves on Friday night.
What position does he play?
Linebacker.
Because he touches the ball like 20 times on offense and scores 20 times. Like, I don't know.
He kind of has that Marcel Brooks type,
yes,
where he's just the best player on the field. You can just put him all over the spot.
He's so good.
Yeah, just give it to him. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this Florida gig, because it looks as if we said, like, man, it's not a matter of if, it is when this could go down. Big Dog says Texas A&M to LSU is just a lateral move.
Big Dog.
What?
Oof.
Big Dog. They've won 3 national championships in the last 20 years with 2 cartoon characters leading the program in Les Miles and Ed Ogeron. Texas A&M has not even played for a league title in that window, much less a national championship. So I know that you're mad, Big Dog, about how we feel about Will Wade and the LSU basketball program. And that you, for whatever reason, check. He was stalking our checks the last time I went to eat with Will Wade. He was telling me on Twitter that Will Wade paid for lunch because he saw the check.
Oh, Big Dog.
Big Dog stalking the check. But again, the NCAA, the FBI, everybody's swimming around, and in fact, talked to a great source at LSU over the weekend who says that the NCAA in their latest effort with LSU basketball, which by the way, the Tigers crank up tomorrow night as they get started here on this regular season. The NCAA is trying to bully LSU to fire Will Wade. And LSU has repeatedly told them, if you've got the bullet, shoot it. Otherwise, move on. They're not moving on from Will Wade. Scott Woodward is in love with Will Wade, by the way.
It seems like his kind of guy.
Well, he's a winner.
Yeah.
That's how Scott Woodward describes Will Wade to his circle of friends or to booster rooms when he's asking for money, when they ask about the basketball program. And I think some basketball facilities, some upgrades are going to be on their way here in the next couple of years. And that's not just because of Kim Mulkey landing in Baton Rouge. I think that's some of the things that Scott Woodward thinks he, and knows he has to support. But
well, and he's in love with process guys. Like Will Wade has a process. Right. And it's like, if you could write it down on paper and give me 10 steps, look at the coaches that he's brought in. Like Kim Mulkey obviously has her process, and it's proven she didn't have to do that. But you talk about the baseball coach that he brought in, like he's very process-oriented. Will Wade was already process-oriented. So, and then you look at like a Billy Napier or a Dave Aranda. Obviously, he knows Jimbo Fisher very well. But they're all process guys to where, like, step A leads to step B, step C. This is how it works, and I have a plan. And Will Wade certainly falls into that category. So that's why Woodward probably has no problem with them sticking around at LSU, because it works.
So, I think that, with the LSU basketball situation, LSU is going to clear through this hurdle. At no point did Wade ever admit on any audio that he paid anybody. And if he would have been fired. And I mean, it's as simple as that. They've got the audio. You can go back to the scheme. You can give me the transcript. You can dig up the last Pat 40 article. You can do everything that you want to do. But the fact is, they've got no smoking gun. And they've been bullied from a PR standpoint, and they've been embarrassed by a head coach by making comments. And some of the things that they do have on audio is embarrassing for the NCAA that they can't get him, but they got nothing. And they're urging LSU to fire Wade, and LSU's telling the NCAA, no, we're not. If you've got the bullet, shoot it. Otherwise, keep moving. And that's all that the latest was with the NCAA, and LSU's going to have a really good team that they get out on the floor, and they'll start that tomorrow night. The Adam Miller injury was a killer. You lose 23 a night in any lineup, that's a setback. But hopefully guys like Brandon Murray, and if Justice Williams comes along and they want to burn his red shirt, he'll be able to play at a high level. LSU is going to be a championship contending team in the SEC. And if you can win the SEC, you can make some noise in March. The SEC basketball level has upgraded to a point where it's almost as respectable as what's happening on the football fields. It's a really good basketball conference, and the games and the teams are going to be really good here. Again, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida. LSU, they're going to have some headline teams. Arkansas is going to be good. Ole Miss just extended Kermit Davis over in Oxford. He's got a pretty good team over at Ole Miss. So it's going to be a really fun basketball season. LSU gets going tomorrow night.
Is that all trickle down from the SEC network, where they have so much money that
yes.
we can go get coaches now for basketball?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you look back even 5 years, you would say it was Kentucky and everybody else in the SEC, and now it has turned into a perennial power for who is going to almost jostling for position of what conference is the best in basketball. It used to be, back when the Big East existed, it was always the Big East. Now the Big 12 is good. The ACC is still good. It's just wild that the SEC just kind of kicked the door down and said, look, here we are, and here we have 5 coaches that you would want at any place in the country.
Sure. I mean, if you think about the coaches in this conference right now, I mean, it is the elite of what's happening in the sport, man. I mean, Eric Musselman, Kermit Davis, Will Wade, John Calipari, who's my guy at Alabama? Nate Oates. Nate Oates. Even Buzz Williams. I know that he's struggled in College Station, but at the time when he was hired there, I mean, that was a big name that you were plucking away from Virginia Tech. Daily, we're brought to you by GoFlow IV Spa Health and Wellness. Remember, Baton Rouge's premier medical spa specializing in IV hydration treatments with vitamin infusion. GoFlowIV.com, GEAUX, FlowIV.com. They are, as we said, the medical spa here in Jefferson Highway that can help you with chronic dehydration. If you're looking to hydrate your skin and give a more youthful glow, they can help you with skin, hair, and beauty care. Athletic performance, they can replenish electrolytes and help you with vitamins during your workout and after your workout. Illness recovery, chronic illness, or if you had a long weekend, they can help you out with a little bit of a hangover cure. Online at GEAUXFlowIV.com, GoFlowIV.com. We will talk more LSU football with Wilson Alexander. He covers the program for the Advocate. He will stop by here at 8 a.m. We'll ask him the latest and what he expects to hear from Ogeron today, and if they can mirror the effort and energy that they had in Tuscaloosa on Saturday night, if they can mirror that versus Arkansas. Arkansas coming off a really emotional win versus Mississippi State. Speaking of the dogs, the Carpool Queen just walked in. She'll be on set here next. Jordan Peck is here, so we're starting to fill up inside of the UDL. Make sure you like, share, comment on our post. Please, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on Facebook, JordyCulottaShow.com, all of the interaction helps us out tremendously. Like, share, comment, share it before we get out of here at 9 a.m. When we come back, we'll talk to Wilson Alexander from The Advocate right here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Papa Earl's, the fine spice, originating right down here in South Louisiana by our guy Mark Pop Norman. Developed it back in 2018 and won Amazon's Newcomer of the Year in 2019. They pride themselves in having 30% less salt and sodium than the leading brands at the same price point. You can find them locally. Look for Papa Earl's at Rouse's, Calandro's, Mathern's, High Neighbor, and more. True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU, bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU, bluewater.com. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, live on this Monday, talking LSU. Bama from the weekend. The Saints fall in just devastating fashion to the Falcons on Sunday, as it looked like they had rallied in the fourth to beat the Falcons, but Atlanta came storming back on Matty Ice hooking up with Cordell Patterson. I mean, bro.
The man can't die.
Jesus.
What's dead may never die. He is there forever.
Good Lord. I mean, he's like the boogeyman.
Yes, I remember him
He
in
just
Tennessee.
won't go away.
Good God.
The Carpool Queen is here. Good morning.
Hey.
All right.
Hey,
Good
y'all.
weekend?
Great weekend.
Yeah, tough loss.
Tough loss. Besides that,
Yeah.
tough loss.
Why
That was
great
terrible.
weekend?
Well, I went
She
to
went
see
to go
John
see-
Mulaney in
yeah.
New Orleans,
That's
and it was amazing.
Can't wait to hear about it.
I
Can't wait to
ugly
hear
laughed
about
through
it.
The whole thing.
De facto great weekend for me.
Yes.
Because of
It
that.
did. It did equal a
House
great
sitting.
weekend
House
for
sitting.
me.
Yes. Wilson
Big up
Alexander,
job.
who is an LSU beat writer for The Advocate and Nolan News, one of the best. We were really going to him a lot during baseball season, as we're going to do again. Just a FYI there,
you know.
Wilson. Yeah, right. He was in Tuscaloosa, and he has obviously been covering this team all season long, and he joins us now here on this Monday morning. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. I was also at John Mulaney in New Orleans, so I had a good weekend
Hey,
Oh,
how cool.
nice.
It was great, wasn't it?
too. It was hilarious.
Oh, my God. I
hate that he's so
cried.
funny.
I laughed so hard.
That was pretty funny what we saw in Tuscaloosa, Wilson, wasn't it? I mean, that was a hell of a game.
I know. I mean, I have to admit it. If anyone saw the paper, our predictions, I thought Alabama would cover that massive spread, and obviously they didn't. That was a surprisingly great game to watch.
What has it been, Wilson, if you could? I know this is kind of an open question, but just like from your point of view, what has it been like covering this program this season?
It's been strange.
Yeah.
You went into the year, and obviously there was a lot of uncertainty. You knew Ed needed to coach well, and that LSU needed to play well for him to keep his job, and at least for another season or two or whatever. And it was pretty right off the bat, with the Sissy Blue and the loss to UCLA, you could just kind of tell this was going to be a strange year. And it's been up and down. There's been some pretty good moments, like all of a sudden, them knocking off Florida and playing well against Alabama. But for the most part, it's just been strange because the team just hasn't been very good, and hasn't been a ton of. I mean, there's been interest. Obviously, it's LSU football, but it's just sort of having covered the 2019 season and then the last two seasons, it's been a very stark difference, obviously.
What did you make of Ogeron on Saturday night? Jacques, our friend over at WAFB, it seemed like had a camera on him and cut up some of the reactions of Ogeron and kind of the way that he handled himself on Saturday. What was the air that you thought he was operating under?
Yeah, I saw that video that Jacques posted. I was props to Jacques because you could just tell. I mean, he's just going for it. And he said in the post game he doesn't like the phrase that nothing to lose because there's a game to lose. But you could see the last 2 weeks that he's just sort of no hold, nothing, holding nothing back and just sort of throwing the kitchen sink at it. I mean, you saw him against Ole Miss almost do that like roll the dice thing after motion after like a fourth down early in the game. And then here he was he was having fun with it, and they lose the game and he goes over and raises both arms with the L's. And I've never seen a losing coach look so proud.
He did. I loved it.
And I mean, you got to hand it to them because they were huge underdogs with nothing left in the defense pretty much other than like Damone Clark and Neil Farrell and DJ Ojulari, and were able to, hold Alabama to the lowest rushing yards they've ever had in a Nick Saban coach team. And so, he had something to be proud of, and you don't blame him, but it's been kind of fun to watch the last couple of weeks. He's just throwing it all out there.
What have you made of Max Johnson's play over the last couple of weeks, and specifically what you saw on Saturday night?
Yeah, it hasn't been a good stretch for Max. There's been a couple games now here where he's thrown for less than 200 yards. He's thrown a couple interceptions. Obviously had that one that wasn't really totally his fault late in the second half, but he's just, his throws there was a couple plays when you rewatch the film there late in the fourth quarter where one in particular, he's throwing off his back foot, trying to hit Jack Besh on a fourth down on LSU's kind of last full possession before, you're just kind of like trying to get to the end zone, and overthrows Besh. Well, we saw Bryce Young make kind of a similar throw and make it and, throw a touchdown earlier in the game, having to kind of roll back, and Bryce Young was kind of baiting the defense too. And Max was, trying to avoid the rush, throwing off his back foot and just sailed it. And he just looks out of sync, a little discombobulated. I mean, the whole offense does though. So it's hard to put a lot on Max because he's under pressure, get bit, and this offense just is not clicking at all on it. And it really hasn't been for most of the season.
This might be an unfair question, but just from your point of view, what do you expect the roster to look like in the next month? Do you expect a lot of turnover? Do you expect there to be an opportunity to see who comes in, how they run it, and then make a decision?
Probably the latter there. I don't, it seems like, whoever they have still left on the team is probably going to be, playing through playing out the string here the last three games. There's a lot of guys who, kind of have to prove that they are, draft eligible, or not even draft eligible, but like worthy of getting picked. I mean, Damone has proved a lot, but he's got, the way he plays, and he's got so much heart. He's going to be probably playing until that last snap of the season. Farrell kind of the same way. A lot of guys on that offensive line. There probably won't be a ton more. Who else can they lose at this point, anyway? But and then at the season, you'll probably see a lot of guys making decisions and trying to see what this new coaching staff is like.
Speaking of Neil Farrell, how much money has he made in the last couple of weeks?
It's going to be really interesting to see, because he's kind of a super senior, and so it kind of gets in that question of, okay, can we continue to develop this guy at the next level, or is because of his age is he kind of maxed out? But he's certainly earned himself a chance in the NFL. I mean, he's been just phenomenal the last few weeks. Now, he's struggled a little bit still with kind of his gap discipline. That's part of what makes him a really good player is he's aggressive, but sometimes he'll jump out of his gap, and then LSU allows an explosive run. But at the same time, he's a really good pass rusher on the inside, really hard, really hard to block him one-on-one. 3 weeks in a row with 7 straight tackles. And, I mean, he was just dominating Alabama at the line of scrimmage. He's been really impressive this season and one of LSU's best players.
I want to pivot back to Max real quick. We had Miles Brennan on, I would say, sometime last week, and he talked about his time at LSU going through, I think, 5 seasons with 5 different coordinators is how he put it. And when you look at Max Johnson, he's almost on the same trajectory of having, this will be his 3rd year with what looks to be a 3rd different coordinator. Are you worried about him if he comes in as the incumbent having to learn a 3rd system where it almost sets him up to fail, where he's had so much put on his plate to this point where he can't even play football the way he wants to? It's almost like he's trying to process everything, and he goes into another year having to learn another new offense. It just seems like he's set up to fail at this point.
No, yeah, that's a great point. I mean, people talk about it all the time. Like, quarterbacks in particular need stability, need to have a coordinator who meshes with them and have the system work. And, last year he's a freshman, and, you're learning a lot as a freshman, and that's hard. But this year, with all the way Pete's has kind of struggled, to call the offense at times, Max has been sort of roped into that. And it's going to be tough to learn a new system, but it's going to depend on the system and the play caller really at the end of the day. Because if it's someone who really understands Max, understands what he does well, and puts his offense in a good position to make plays and win, then Max can have a lot of success. And, maybe then by the last couple of years of his LSU career, he'll be able to really settle into something and mesh well with it and have a lot of success. But it's just going to depend on who that person is and what kind of plays they're calling in certain situations, and if they work, because a lot of it kind of goes back to that.
Wilson Alexander joining us here. He covers LSU on for The Advocate. And he's also on Twitter at WHAlexander_ is where you can follow him. Wilson, did you watch 20 innings of baseball on Sunday?
No, our new my new beat partner, Leah Van.
The short straw.
She watched 20 innings though. You got to give her props. She got up early to leave Meridian, where we stayed for the Bama game, and got on back to that scrimmage and watched a heck of a lot of baseball yesterday.
That seemed like a ton of baseball. How early did y'all leave?
What's that now?
How early did y'all hit the road?
Well, we had I guess 2 different cars, and I was able to leave at like 9 o'clock, but I think Leah was out there like 7 a.m.
Look at Wilson. Turned into a little brainiac now. I'll take 2 cars.
Trust me, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Sunday, it'll come faster than you think. What was that atmosphere like on Saturday night?
In Tuscaloosa? I mean, it was a little subdued at first. It took a while, kind of a little bit of time for the crowd to get in there. And then it was one of the better atmospheres I've seen this season. I mean, they had those pom-pom shakers going all over the place, and the light show was, well coordinated. Say what you will about it, but it was certainly well coordinated. And Alabama put on a great show. I mean, it's a fun place to watch a game. I know LSU fans don't think so all the time, but they did a good job over there, and it got pretty loud at the end. Not as loud as Tiger Stadium, really, but it was rocking a little bit there at times. They did not expect to have such a close game.
How would you compare it to the in-game experience at LSU? Because it feels like whenever you see the light show and what they're doing, it feels almost like a concert. And at LSU, it's so reliant on just show up and be loud, and you get this whole visceral experience. I don't think I would see LSU pivot to that, but do you think that's something that people would want?
I don't know. I haven't heard of a lot of LSU fans who are like really pro, crazy lights and stuff. I remember somebody asked me, I think it was Glenn Logan during the 2019 championship season, if they liked that, and he was kind of in favor of it, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's more manufactured at Alabama, what they do, than LSU, where it's very much, like you said, all just created by the people in the stadium. And if there aren't enough people in the stadium, like last year at some games this year, like if it's a bad opponent, and then excuse me, the atmosphere is a little bit subdued. But when you get everybody in there, LSU doesn't have to do any gimmicks, because those fans make it happen themselves.
The light show is awesome, though, and it plays well even on television.
Yeah,
I can't imagine what the experience is like in stadium. Wilson, are you covering the basketball team this season?
No, our Sheldon Mickles will be doing that. So make sure y'all follow Sheldon for everything. We've got a good team over here where we get to split things up.
Always appreciate your time. Go ahead, Lloyd.
Sounds like you still got a little bit of Tuscaloosa in you, brother.
Yeah, something showed up this morning. I don't know
I
what's
bet.
going on.
The weekend flu.
That early call from the Jordy Culotta show showed up is what happened. Thank you as always, buddy. We'll be talking again soon.
Sounds good. Y'all have a great day.
All right, man. There he is. Wilson Alexander checking in from Twitter at WHAlexander _.
Sound like you bit the dust there for a second.
Me or him?
Him.
Yes. It could have.
Back to back.
Edward Jones is our financial advisor here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Let them financially advise you. Get in touch with our friends Daniel Newman, Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. No Wayne Newman has slept all weekend because the basketball season tips off tomorrow night. He could be sitting outside of the PMAC right now waiting on them to open up the doors. But he will take your call, even if he's at the Maravich Center. And it's easy to get in touch with our friend Daniel Newman. He is very well experienced, and we tell you all the time how much of an expert he is within the plant industry. If you work within the plant industry down here in South Louisiana or wherever you are listening to this program, Daniel can help you. 225-261-8262, 225-261-8262 is the phone number. Or you can reach him by just emailing him, which is probably the best method. You'll get a quick response. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. He has been tremendous to work with for us, and has got us a really nice return here in just a short time of rolling over our 401k just 10 months ago to the professionals over at Edward Jones.
Plus, he buys us lunch at Stabs.
And if you go see him, you'll probably get a lunch at it from Stabs. Now, you will have to veer him off the basketball talk, but once you get him to the finances, you will see that he is an expert in that field as well.
What is a 401k?
That's why you call Daniel Newman.
Yeah, right. F you for asking that on live air, bro. I mean, you
retirement.
That's
you studied for this test.
That's a cheap shot, bro. That is a cheap
It's different
shot.
than a mortgage.
Yeah, right. That's nothing to do with your mortgage, you prick.
Test?
That is a cheap shot. Yeah, right. Go ahead and mark the tape. Yeah, right. Because you got something coming back at you, bro.
How financially stable are you, Jordy?
It was that Monday, November 8th, 8:15, wrapping up that segment when I knew Lloyd was a dead man walking. Yeah. Joey Mulinaro, the master impressionist from Barstool Sports, going to give us some reaction from both Ogeron and Saban. And it'd be great to catch up with our friend next here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU bluewater.com. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Hebert's Specialty Meats, home to the finest boudin in South Louisiana. 2 spots right here in Baton Rouge and out in Prairieville. Stop in and see them in the Dutchtown Shopping Center on Highway 73 or right here in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Online, abearsmarkets.com, and they're all over social media. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. Hebert's combines perfect seasoning with that authentic Cajun flavor. Find out for yourself. Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway and in Prairieville on Highway 73. abearsmarkets.com. All right, good stuff from with Wilson Alexander from The Advocate. If you missed it, remember it'll be online at rmb-builders.com. That is our contractors here who bring us back our podcast and all of our on-demand sound here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Wilson Alexander will be here. I'll be on our podcast today. So will Mr. LeVar Robinson, who is the president and founder of Fathers on a Mission down here in South Louisiana. We'll tell you about him coming up at 8:45. And next, our great friend, man, Joey Mulinaro, the very talented Joey Mulinaro of Barstool Sports, the master impressionist, and is a wizard in the media game in his own right. It is great to catch up with him. I'm sorry we missed you a couple of weeks back when you were down in South Louisiana, but I can't wait to hear about your Baton Rouge experience. You can follow Joey on Twitter at Joey Mulinaro. He is a part of Barstool Sports. Odds are you have seen his work, and he is here with us on the Jordy Culotta Show. Good morning, my friend. How are you, man?
Jordy, so good to talk to you, man. I've been waking up with you guys every morning, and in this search for who's going to be leading our Tigers next year and beyond. So it's been great, man. I'm loving the show. I'm loving waking up with you guys every morning, and I'm just happy to talk to you again, bro.
Thank you, bro. It is good to hear the support as always, and same from us to you. It is great to see your brand continuing to grow and your talent being seen by so many people. What was your experience like in Baton Rouge? You were down here a couple of weeks back, and it looked like the program opened up the doors to you. You finally got to meet O, which I knew was something that you were really striving to do. What was the Baton Rouge experience like?
Man, it was everything I dreamed it would be, and then some. I mean, I spent the last 2 years interacting with and building relationships with the people of South Louisiana and really the whole state of Louisiana, the people, like yourself, T-Bob, Riv, all the people at LSU and the football program. And you're right, dude. I mean, me and my wife are down there, and we're like, it'd be great to just be able to stop by and, kind of see the entryway of the facility. And we get there, and my guys, JR and Will, and even your boy Panamsky, I mean, they did, dude. They rolled out the carpet, and it was like me and my wife felt like we were honestly getting recruited to go play there. And I mean, that was just on Friday. That was just on Friday, and then on Saturday, I mean, I felt bad because all the people, they were like, "Oh, so good to have you down here," and then I'd be like, "Yeah," and they'd be like, "But it could be better than it is right now." And,
right.
and it's only Central Michigan, so this isn't the real deal. And I was like, guys, I'm just happy to be here. It's been 2 years in the making for me to get down here, and it was awesome, man. I had a great freaking time.
The social media was fantastic. Obviously, that was coming out of it. What was it like meeting O?
Oh God, it was. I thought I'd be more nervous than I was, I guess because it wasn't like a planned thing, right? So we're getting the tour, and we're in the weight room, and of course Coach O's getting a pump in, I guess. And so my boy JR, we turn the corner, and he's like, "You want to see something cool?" And I turn the corner, and there's just sitting on the end of a bench, just got done pumping out 10 or 12 or whatever, right? And he's sitting there, and all of a sudden, and I'm like, "Oh, dude." I was like, "Coach, what's up, man?" And so we had a big hug, and he talked to me and my wife for a little bit. I mean, my wife, that's the most starstruck she's ever been. Wow. And in true O fashion, he was like, "Hey, princess, hey, little lady, come on over here." and so
easy, Coach,
easy. I know. I was like, "Hey, now, come on." I was like, "I know we're in the gym, and I know you love her, but you ain't gonna work out with her now. Come on." Yeah. So no, but he was great, and he was super. He played along with it, and we ripped the Go Tigers that we finally got to put out there together, and so it was just great, man. I always love O. I know it's a conversation, for a different time, but I'm always indebted to that guy. He was on it on Saturday night, man. It felt like they were going to pull that thing off. My God. Oh, jeez, dude. So many chances. I was like, I mean, this would just be the perfect ending. It would be hilarious on a whole bunch of fronts. You know, I mean, seeing Saban that pissed off, Coach O just walking away with a big grin. I mean, he already was celebrating running out of the damn stadium even after they lost.
I know.
Can you imagine what he would have done if they would have won?
He'd have ripped his shirt off for sure.
Nipples.
No doubt about it. Just, I mean,
great.
50-yard line. Purdue had another great weekend, bro. The Boiler, I don't know how they woke up still unranked. It was the second time you guys have downed a top 5 team. Michigan State was the latest, and Mel Tucker's name is actually being talked a lot about a potential replacement down here. But Purdue.
What do you guys think of that, real quick? Are you in on Tucker?
You know what? I was initially out, but then I watched his team play against Michigan, and it's really started to keep up with some of the things of kind of the things he's done. It looked like when Kirby got the job at Georgia, he was one of his first hires as an assistant coach. He obviously knows that Saban tree.
Yeah.
But to me, the way that Scott Woodward works, who is making this hire, is that there's usually a couple of names that are smoke screens that make you look over here while he's kind of dancing over there. And Tucker really feels like one of those names. I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at it, but
I just hope it's not Dabo.
No, I don't think it'll be Dabo. I really don't. I think that Dabo's a lot like O. There's no specialty. There's a lot of rah-rah, a lot of cheering, but you don't have something that you can fall back on. You know, I think, Joey, more than anything, what Woodward is concerned about the next hire is like the staff. Like, there's nobody on this staff that they could move O in season to hand it to, which is kind of like, you know, like a really a condemnation on him building a staff. Yeah, really. Yeah. I mean, a guy that can maintain, build program, bring in the right people, and you know,
I'm talking myself into a lane train, bro.
Yeah, well, look, that's where we started. We started there on the lane train.
Yeah. So we'll see.
So what's it like being a Purdue fan right now?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is like I had a really good feeling that Purdue was going to beat Michigan State on Saturday, just because Braum and that program where it is right now has shown, you know, if anything, they could beat top 5 teams. I mean, he's 3-0 against them in his time at Purdue. So I felt really confident going in. I honestly would have been more surprised if they wouldn't have won, really. But again, like I've written about it, I've tweeted about it. It's like, okay, you can do that, but now you have to go and you have to beat Northwestern when you're supposed to. You have to beat IU at home. You know what I mean? Because he's shown that he can beat those top 3, top 5 teams. But then all of a sudden you come around and you get your doors blown off by Wisconsin at home, or you lose to Rutgers or something. And it's like, what are we doing here? You know, so there's got to be a little bit more of that consistency. You know, so it's like, I'm excited. It was great. But again, if they finish 6-6 or 7-5 when they could have been 8-4, 9-3, that's big to me. So, you know, progress continued. I mean, a few years ago before Braum got there, they were lucky to win 2 games a year. So, I mean, the scenes that have been up there in West Lafayette is definitely, you know, like night and day from what it was. But it's like, all right, now you're stepping up there. Let's take another step to the next part of the ladder, right? So, yeah, it's feeling good, man. It's exciting, you know, but it's nothing to get too hyped about because we've seen it already, and then they kind of collapsed down the stretch.
Our guy, Joey Mulinaro, joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure you are following him on Twitter at Joey Mulinaro. He's also got a YouTube page that you need to be subscribed to. That is Joey Mulinaro. In fact, you can just find the direct link to it on his Twitter page. Before I get you into a couple of characters to get you out of here, it's good to hear from you. Appreciate your time as always. Thanks, looks like a lot of cool stuff's happening at Barstool. Obviously, with our direct connect with Ben Mintz and Megan making money from South Louisiana. We're all, and you obviously, who kind of got it started. But it seems like you guys have built a great team and kind of steamrolling down the tracks, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of competition in the space.
Yeah, man. I appreciate all those kind words. I mean, it is wild. Me and Mincy talk about it a lot, and then we spent the whole weekend with Megan making money and her husband Alex when we were down in South Louisiana. Love those guys. They're awesome. I mean, they were almost talking. I mean, albeit I had, a handful of beverages, but they're almost talking me into moving down there. I mean, Megan making money had me and Rye looking on Zillow, for South Louisiana to find some prime real estate. So I love those guys. And you're right. I mean, the way that it's going with our sportsbook right now and the app, I mean, just continues to open in more states and just steamrolling people just because we got the personalities and the talent and the brand and the audience to, we don't need to go out there and spend a whole bunch of money on advertising. We just have us do it, and it's working really well, man. So it's just awesome to be part of.
If Chris Collinsworth was trying to talk Andrew Luck back out of retirement, how would that conversation go from your point of view?
Boy, I tell you what, not a lot of quarterbacks I love watching more than you, Andrew Luck. The way that you would get up and at it, and your arm strength and your toughness. I say, here's a guy that should be playing 15, 20 years in the league, and you retire on us. So, well, what do I got to do to get you to come back? Because I'm looking forward to it. There's no doubt about it.
Chris, I appreciate that. Obviously, a player of your stature back in the day, both physical and what you did on the field, I appreciate that. But I think I'm fine. I don't want to have to go back to the shit show that is the Colts right now. I got plenty of shit that I have to take care of with my own baby.
Coach O and Coach Saban talking about that game on Sunday morning. How'd that conversation go?
Hey, Tony, I'll tell you what, man. I got to find out. You got some plans next weekend? I got to ask first of all. You got any plans?
No plans. No plans.
No plans. Well, I'll tell you what, man. I got a nice fishing hole out there. Me and you could go have a conversation. It'll be a real great time. Maybe I can get Ponansky to bring us a fishing pole. We'll go up there. We'll talk about it. Bring some concrete or something to it. No big deal. I talked to Coach Saban. I love Coach Saban, that little man. He's a funny little elf. Christmas time's coming up, so he fits right in for working for Santa's workshop, man. I mean, he's got future coaching football, but man, I'll tell you what, that man could be in Santa's workshop too. But I'm not gonna be coaching the Tigers coming up next year. But I won't be recruiting Tigers, but I'll be recruiting another kind of tiger, and I call him a cougar.
Jordy, I tell you what, man, it wasn't a great win. I'm not that happy about it. When you let Farmer Fran from the Water Boy come into your home stadium, and he's basically playing with a high school Louisiana team, and he puts up that kind of performance against us, at least to say I'm not happy about the state of our program right now. All right?
It's great to talk to you, bro. I miss you. I love you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Jordy. Love you guys. See ya.
That was amazing. Oh my God.
We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
That's a good statement.
Hebert's Specialty Meats, home to the finest boudin in South Louisiana. 2 spots right here in Baton Rouge and out in Prairieville. Stop in and see them in the Dutchtown Shopping Center on Highway 73 or right here in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Online, abearsmarkets.com, and they're all over social media. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. Hebert's combines perfect seasoning with that authentic Cajun flavor. Find out for yourself. Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway and in Prairieville on Highway 73. abearsmarkets.com. True Blue Water. True hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU bluewater.com. Papa Earl's, the fine spice, originating right down here in South Louisiana by our guy Mark Pop Norman. Developed it back in 2018 and won Amazon's Newcomer of the Year in 2019. They pride themselves in having 30% less salt and sodium than the leading brands at the same price point. You can find them locally. Look for Papa Earl's at Rouse's, Calandro's, Mathern's, High Neighbor, and more. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard.
Ran out of steam. They got to suck in like Katie.
That's what you do. You just transition to sucking in, and then you never break the
Blow
whistle.
out, yeah.
Are we alive?
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back. Here to the Jordy Culotta Show. Sounds like after hours. Still inside of our window here, 7 to 9 a.m. Make sure you like, share, comment on the post. Appreciate Joey Mulinaro.
Y'all's faces.
What a very... what a talent
It looks like you're
Mulinaro
just going,
is. Still laughing at Ogeron hunting cougars.
He's coming
He
for
is
your
awesome.
ass.
His Saban is so spot on.
It is. I mean, I'm telling you, his
Jeez.
Andrew Luck is
so good.
No,
identical.
he's good. He's good.
Collinsworth's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's
good.
like
That's his
they're all
talent.
like a little drunk, which makes it great.
Yeah.
Like the Collinsworth is a little. Oh. I wonder if the Saints called Andrew Luck.
I'm sure.
Somebody's got to prime away. He's not doing anything.
I think he's done, man.
Just happy.
I think he's just done, rich and healthy.
Yeah,
Finally, you know
finally.
what I mean? He was always banged up. He was always hurt. Carpool Queen is here. Jordan Peck is here. We're gonna talk coming up today to close out the show.
Did you do a good intro for Jordan Peck? yet?
Like
So
a good intro.
Everyone knows who he is.
I think people just know him by the back of his head.
Yeah.
But like
actually.
a real
He also
deal.
sucks into whistle.
Yes.
He's the reason we're looking
LeVar
so
Robinson,
good lately.
Fathers on a Mission, is going to be here. Do we have a camera angle that can get Peck in here?
Let's
there you go.
see. That's perfect.
Yes, there he is, as you know. The bald head and the hot dog. Jordan Peck, who is, we are proud to announce here, if you've seen some of the videos, if you've seen some of the images, if you've seen
All the
just
shit that looks cool.
really, yeah, right. The
Everything looks
upgrade
cool and
here.
different.
That is compliments of our new executive producer here, Jordan Peck, who is a part of the team. He was the one that was dressed up like the, what were you for Halloween?
The walrus.
A walrus.
Wait,
right.
you didn't even remember, did you?
No.
Everyone
Well,
had to think
Halloween.
about that for a minute.
Did you have multiple costumes? 'Cause you got a kid now,
man.
so I mean, you've probably made a couple of rounds.
I think I still have a bologna suit
Yeah.
somewhere, and the
What's a
outfit
bologna
of
suit?
Bert and Ernie.
I mean, is it just a big piece of meat?
Yeah, it's just like a package of bologna.
Like a flat.
Brought
like
to you by
flat
A-Bears.
bologna?
Almost
Wow.
like a Oscar Mayer package.
Okay,
but it's
that's
just,
cute.
yeah, bologna. I'll find a picture, and we can all talk about it one day.
Let's do that.
Sounds like a great conversation.
Welcome to the squad.
Welcome.
And this is
Happy to
probably
be
a
here.
little belated because he's been a part of the squad now for going on a couple of weeks, and we made the announcement official internally last week. But really, we're trying to take this thing to the next level, man. Everybody's support and sponsorship and everybody's buy-in, and we really feel like we got a really good team. And Jordan is kind of that final missing piece that we need to take us over the top. And a lot of the things that we're striving and urging and hoping that we can do in the next couple of months all hinges on you, buddy. So
No pressure.
welcome to the squad,
Welcome
and
in.
don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
So
I always say I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it really well.
you got the job.
go. Yeah,
right. You're hired.
You
Oh,
fit
God,
in.
Cody Boudreaux's back in here paying us and wanting you to
Wow,
talk about
Cody
Dune.
Boudreaux is paying us $10 and want to know
Did
if
you
you've
see
seen Dune.
Dune?
Yeah, I have.
We'll give the man an honest review for God's sakes, because he's willing to hand out cash for anybody that can
We
give him
should
something
talk
to
about
it.
he's addicted to Dune.
I love
it.
Man, I think it's good. I think it should have been rated R. I never saw
Lloyd
the
said.
original, And I have to preface all this, I have a 1-year-old, so I'm watching it in bed with captions on mute. So I haven't got like the soundtrack experience yet.
Okay.
It's a theater movie for sure.
But as
You
you
got a
said,
1-year-old, for God's sakes. Leave him alone.
Put the thing to bed. What do they do? I mean, they sleep and piss and shit, and they just roll it over.
But I think they went into a world that they were able to explore and expand on that we haven't really seen. I mean, it's about a desert planet. I mean, it just seems very interesting, and it's massive, it's huge. So I think there's a lot going for it for sure. So my review part 2, when I've listened to the audio, we'll return to that for sure.
All right, Jordan Peck.
Yeah,
Cody Boudreaux proud.
Executive producer as on the Jordy Culotta show. Very much appreciate what you do, bro.
Yeah,
and
we
it
do.
is great to have you on the team.
Like I said, I just like hanging out.
That's kind of the vibe of the show. You're hired.
You hang out long enough, we'll give you a job.
Right. Sweet T-shirt too, bro.
Thank you, man. This is the Myrtle Beach Pelicans.
Okay, I thought it was a little spin-off of the Pellies here. Wow, is there no infringement with the New Orleans Pelicans in the Myrtle Beach?
And there's about to be now.
Yeah, there might
I
be.
know, I was thinking
Compliments
the
to
same
Jordan
thing.
Peck.
Love it.
How was the weekend, Carpool Queen?
It was so good.
So where was the comedy show?
Well, I thought it was at the Sanger
Oof.
all the way until we were in our Uber. And our Uber driver was like, didn't it get moved to Mahalia Jackson? And David was like, damn it, Katie, why did you get, good Uber argument.
Yeah,
on the
right.
way to the show.
In fact, drop him off here. Thanks.
Like, I could have blown the night, but I didn't. The Uber driver saved us, so it was fabulous. He was amazing, fresh out of rehab. So
The Uber driver?
Wow.
No, John Mulaney, you son of a... I ugly laughed. Like, that kind,
Oof.
I don't want anybody
That's
to see me
good.
laughing. Like,
Yes,
tears
cheeks
are
hurt,
shooting.
stomach hurts.
Everything hurts, and I know
Yes,
I
stop,
look like a crazy person.
For God's sake, stop making me laugh. This
Yeah.
is too
Okay,
much.
keep going.
It was like
Right.
that. It was great.
Entire weekend in New Orleans?
Oh, no, we came back Saturday
Came back
afternoon.
Saturday.
Yeah,
Busted up the spot.
Much to
right.
Lloyd's
Does that mean I need to
dismay.
leave?
I'll put my clothes in the wash if you'd
Yeah,
put those
right.
over in the dryer. It would be great.
And Lloyd texts me. He's like, "Oh God, I left my pot of soup in your refrigerator." And there's
Pot
literally
of
his
soup.
own pot that he
Yeah,
brought
right.
from home with
Oh, we
soup
believe
in
it. We believe it.
Hey, when you have to we have to grind these weeks out. A pot of soup goes 6 days, brother.
I know, but
Just
you were
make
at
sure
my
that
house. You
works.
could have taken a break from your
I made
own
a
soup
sandwich
pot.
Saturday.
God.
She has the thickest bread.
What's your sandwich of choice?
They had turkey, so I did.
I'm sorry, soup of choice.
Oh, I just go.
Yeah, what was it? What's in the
Oh
soup?
God, y'all are gonna hate me.
Already do.
It's just chicken. It's just chicken and broth. No noodles. We don't
you
go noodles.
vain
Right.
son of a bitch,
So it's
bro.
just you do that 5 days a week.
No
Soup diet.
pasta for this guy.
Exactly. And then on Saturday, that's when I branch out. I might put a little pasta in there, drop a little pepper deli in there, something like that. But
Okay.
usually during the week, it's just chicken and broth.
Ugh.
So you
What is
rewarded
your goal
yourself with
here?
a
What are you trying to
sandwich.
do here? What's the end
Live
goal?
to be 150.
Is that you're just looking to get healthy, or are you looking to get shredded?
Shredded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that beach bod, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We got
for
Noah
sure.
here. I mean, blowing up the spot.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't compete with that. So I got to go sinewy as opposed to bulk.
Yes.
So you can get whatever flavor you want on the
Noah
Culotta
has gone
show.
just
Yeah.
young Tony Soprano.
He looks
He really
fucking
has.
massive.
He does.
He's intimidating.
Well, I mean, he eats everything that crosses his face.
does.
Unbelievable.
He eats pasta.
Oh, yes. Twice.
Yes. He spoons it. You know what I mean? He doesn't even twirl it. He big spoons it.
Give him a full handful.
Yeah, like,
Y'all eating
you
that?
gonna eat that?
Yeah.
Was, but not anymore.
Go ahead, mister.
It's good to take it.
Going straight protein
it.
powder in the mouth, no
Take it.
water, just straight powder.
LSU basketball cranks up tomorrow night. We are fired up about that over here on the Jordy Culotta Show. But real quick, before we give a preview, City Cafe. Remember, City Cafe is hiring. They also serve daily lunch specials. Check them out here on this Monday. They open up at 11 a.m. They had their brunch yesterday, 10 a.m.
Did you hit it up?
I did not hit them up, but we need to
dang.
do that as a team.
We do.
Someday soon, because the City Cafe brunch is a diamond. I don't know if they do the bottomless mimosas anymore, but if they don't, they should.
I thought they were still doing that. Did you get word they were not?
I did hear from someone that they were not. I believe that they were dancing on the tables one Sunday morning over there. It could get a little out of
That's
control
a
on
very
bottomless
dangerous
mimosas.
game.
That's what you
Yes,
do.
that's right. Turn it up.
There's no music, sir. You'll get some going.
CityCafeBR.net is where they are online. And remember, daily lunch specials. Check out what's happening over there on Mondays. Tell Cody, Squeaky, Dirk, and the crew that you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
I mean, there's nothing better than that's the reason you go to brunch, right? Is for the drinks.
Sure.
the bottomless mimosas if available.
Yeah.
But it's really just that's the first part of the hangover cure. You're like, oh, you're going to serve me a French 75?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you get into the food. So if they're not doing it, bring it back.
Everything's good after that. Has anybody been watching the Gold Standard on LSU basketball? This is a YouTube series that they're running over there. It gives you great access to the program. Everything from the men's first practice to an inside look behind the men's basketball team. Shout out to their video crew and to their people over there. They're doing an excellent job on production. They're doing a great job of just kind of bringing you behind the scenes to a lot of new faces of LSU basketball. Talked to Mama Bear this morning. Efton Reed's mom is heading down south today. She is coming to Baton Rouge for tomorrow night's tip-off. She said she's bringing the hoodie.
Yes.
Loves the hoodie. Said that she wears it everywhere, and that it is max comfort. If you're looking for your hoodie, check it out. Jordy.itemorder.com. Jordy.itemorder.com is where you can pick up your hoodie for the fall season, for the winter months coming up here. Make sure to pick it up.
You need to get there and get our original logo on your hoodie before we change it.
Yes.
You need to have the OG logo because after they're sold out, they are gone.
Yeah, that will be a
it'll be a collector's piece.
It'll be a collector's item for sure.
But at the rate we're going, you could have 3 or 4 iterations of the collector's piece with different logos and such. We can't make our minds up.
If you do have gear and you're wearing your gear, make sure you snap a shot of it and tag us in your post, and you can get a repost and let us know that you're out there. We appreciate that very much. LSU is going to open up their basketball season versus ULM tomorrow night inside the Maravich Center. Tip time scheduled for 7 p.m. between the Tigers and the Warhawks. Really looking forward to, as we said, if you have not peeked over at the Gold Standard, which is kind of a behind-the-scenes look that LSU basketball is actually producing and putting out, distributing, then you are going to see a lot of new faces. There's going to be a lot of faces that you're going to have to search the roster, search the media guide to see who that is, whether it's Xavier Pinson, who's going to be the starting point guard on this team, whether it's going to be Brandon Murray, who is a rookie from IMG Academy, who's going to be asked to step up and, gobble up some of those minutes and points that Ace Wolf, Adam Miller, leaves behind on his torn up knee a couple of weeks back. Efton Reed, obviously the 5-star out of IMG from Virginia, who's going to be a dominant player at some point throughout this season, a 7-footer that can really run rim to rim, offensively very skilled, and a rim protector, which is really kind of what Will Wade has been looking for since Cavell Bigsby Williams left the program or graduated the program a couple of years back. Tari Eason is a guy that you're probably going to fall in love with early on in the season. Eason is the transfer out of Cincinnati who was a little bottled up at Cincinnati. He was asked to really kind of just play the low block, rebound, outlet pass, run rim to rim, defend. He's going to do all those things at LSU, but LSU is now allowing him to play a little bit more outside of that game and show off his offensive prowess. He can handle it. He can shoot it from about 10 to 12 feet. He's a guy that can play off the bounce, not particularly well right now, but hoping to improve on that skill. But very much just a kind of dirty work guy. Is going to get a lot of offensive rebounds, is going to guard the other team's low block best player, is going to be all over the glass, can run. Just a very exciting to watch him play. A guy that when you think of what's the difference between LSU basketball this year and last year, I would point to a guy like Tari Eason. Somebody that's just going to, roll his sleeves up and kick your ass, really, all day. I mean, you're going to look up 18, 20 minutes into the matchup and just kind of start thinking, I'm just going to settle for 18 to 20-foot jump shots. I don't feel like backing you down anymore, trying to get underneath, because he's physical, he's gritty, he's mean, he talks shit. I love him. I think Easton's going to be a guy. I mean, he's going to be a guy that helps you out. Obviously, you're going to have the stalwart. I mean, Darius Days, in my opinion, is going to get some SEC preseason player of the year type votes for just what he brings to this team. And kind of who he is. Eric Gaines has packed on a couple of pounds in the offseason. He'll be asked to play. The most improvement I've seen from a guy that's coming back is Mwani Wilkinson. Wilkinson is going to guard the best team's player. He's going to start. He's going to guard the best team, the team's best player, the other team's best player. And offensively, his confidence has really grown throughout the summer. He's developed a jump shot, really more of a three-point shot. And he is freaky athletic.
Is he sophomore or junior?
Sophomore. True sophomore from Las Vegas. Went to Bishop Gorman up there in Vegas. So comes out of a really good program.
Proud of Tate Martell.
Yep. And has really developed in his second year. A lot of new faces, a lot of people that you're going to be excited to watch play. Guys like Alex Fudge and Jarrell Colbert, Sharif O'Neal, obviously, are going to play a lot of minutes. You may see Justice Williams. I think they're still kind of up in the air on what their decision's going to be on how they use him this season. But it's going to be a fun team to watch. And as far as Will Wade's teams go, and he's had some really good ones come through here, right? Everybody from Trenton Watford to Tremont Waters to Nas Reed, to all of those guys, Javonte Smart, all of those teams that have come through here have been fun to watch, had some superstar power. This team is different. This team is more of a Will Wade type DNA built squad where you don't have that one true superstar. You don't have that Trenton Watford. You don't have that Tremont Waters. You don't have that Skylar Mays. You don't have that Nas Reed.
Cam Thomas.
But you got 9 dogs. You got 8 dogs with Miller being out now, and that obviously hurts your depth and hurts your numbers and hurts your rotation. But you got 9 guys that you can trust, you can count on, you can put out there, and they can play at any point, and you keep the pace, right? There's not going to be much of a fall off. You got to stay healthy. The Miller injury was devastating. Anytime you take 23 points out of any lineup, that is going to be and have a huge effect on what happens on the floor. Now, there's no good case scenario that comes from it, but it did happen early in the season, and you can get him back hopefully on a timetable, next year where he's ready to play. And it gives you, from just the personnel and rotation standpoint, where you are going into the year.
How much of the Gold Standard have you watched?
Both episodes.
Both episodes so far. Are you surprised that Will Wade is, I don't want to say allowing this, but I guess he was probably the one pushing for it.
Yes.
For them to be able to. Is it just the exposure that they want the LSU basketball to be out there?
He wants the exposure, and he has nothing to hide. Really.
I think that's more of what I was trying to get at. It's almost like, here I am.
Yeah, right. You want to see, you want to take away, you want to criticize, you want to critique. Here. You know what I mean? Here's a behind-the-scenes look at my practice. Here's a behind-the-scenes look at our coaches' meetings. Here's a behind-the-scenes.
It's still going?
It's going on throughout the season.
That's cool.
It's like a little Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
It is
well,
like that.
he sees where the people are here. The people are digital media. The people are not, watching TV and listening to the radio anymore. They are on their phones watching YouTube and listening on Facebook and watching on social media and throughout those channels. That's how you're touching the young people today. That's how you're getting in front of their face. And Will Wade lives and works in an industry where, his paycheck is dependent on young people. So he's got to be able to relate to them. He's got to be able to get in contact with them. He's got to be able to relationship form with them. And that's what this is.
Well, and it's a great recruiting tool, which I'm sure that's like foremost in his mind. You get to see kind of the guts of LSU basketball and how he acts when the camera, quote unquote, isn't on. Yeah. So I would imagine if you're being recruited by LSU, it's something that you would have to tune into. And if it was like an SEC special or something on SEC Network, you might not catch it. It living and breathing on YouTube makes a ton of sense for people to just be able to go and find it, as opposed to you missed it on cable.
LeVar Robinson runs Fathers on a Mission down here in South Louisiana. We will ask him the initiative of this great organization when we come back and close out this Monday on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Make sure you like and share the post, please, before you get out of here. If you're cutting out of here and heading into work, hit that like button, share button, comment button, dislike button, whatever it is. Just interact with us. We appreciate that very much. And make sure that you are logging online and learning more about reliefmed.com. That is RELEAF med.com. This is medical marijuana, which has been legalized in the state of Louisiana, which you have heard about. Now it's right here at your access. Whether you suffer from PTSD, chronic pain, depression, sleep ailments, back pain, anxiety, nausea, having trouble eating, sleeping, as we said, log on to reliefmed.com where you can learn about all the qualifying conditions, and you can go through the process of going through the confidential online registration, talking to a board-certified doctor via phone or video, get approved and have your recommendations sent to a pharmacy closest to you. Then you go to the pharmacy, consult with a Louisiana board-certified pharmacist, and get the products you need. This is high standards and high-quality medical-grade marijuana right now at your
fingertips.
That you can have at your fingertips, right? The flower is not legal, but coming on January 1st, flower will be legalized, and It'll be all types of products. Sour diesel, train wreck, all of the names
Dang,
within the
you're getting
industry.
specific.
Yes. That
Pineapple Express.
a lot of you in this room know all about, and probably the majority of you listening know a ton about that you've probably been keeping in your lock and key away for the past couple of years. Now it's legalized, and you can get a medical marijuana card. And
You don't have to hide anymore.
That you can do it is going through reliefmed.com. What a great way to celebrate Saturday night's game, right? I mean, Ogeron thinks that they won the game. You can go chase
Like
Cougars and get your relief med. RELEAF med.com. All right, we will talk.
Need some.
We will talk to close it out here on this Monday. Looking forward to closing out our conversation and talking to LeVar Robinson about a great initiative here in the capital city as we close you out here on this Monday on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Papa Earl's, the fine spice, originating right down here in South Louisiana by our guy Mark Pop Norman. Developed it back in 2018 and won Amazon's Newcomer of the Year in 2019. They pride themselves in having 30% less salt and sodium than the leading brands at the same price point. You can find them locally. Look for Papa Earl's at Rouse's, Calandro's, Mathern's, High Neighbor, and more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Good to hear from Joey Mulinaro as we talk to Mulinaro from Barstool Sports, master impressionist over there. If you missed any of today's show, make sure and check it out wherever you get your podcast from. All of that brought back to you by RMB Builders, rmb-builders.com. Rhett Bourgeois and his crew done great work for us. Speaking of great work, some of the things that are happening in and around our city that may not get talked about and promoted like it should be is one of the great things that I learned about this weekend from a mutual friend, Vishal Vasanji, who is a part of our show, introduced me to LeVar Robinson, who is behind Fathers on a Mission that you can learn more about online at fathersonamission.com. LeVar heads up that program, and it is our honor, and we are honored to welcome into the conversation this morning here on the Jordy Culotta Show. LeVar, thank you for the time. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Tell us about your great program, Fathers on a Mission.
Yeah, so thank you again. So Fathers on a Mission is a fatherhood support initiative where we provide different resources for fathers and father figures in and around the city area. We started back in 2017, and it has grown since then, where we have monthly fatherhood meetings where we discuss pillars of fatherhood. You know, we don't talk about the sports, unfortunately. We don't talk about politics or none of that other stuff. We talk about pillars of fatherhood with topics such as how to talk to children about sex, how to talk to children about health and hygiene, raising boys versus raising girls, the life of a married father, life of a single father, effective co-parenting, and so on. So their meeting is not for guys who necessarily may need help or guys who are great. It's for all fathers, right? It's the one thing that we look at is the term fatherhood. So it's about fatherhood and lifting each other up and being a support system for men, because, you know, this is something that women do on a regular basis, right? They talk about motherhood all the time, but men, we have pride. So a lot of times, sometimes we don't have those conversations. So we bring those conversations to the table and things like that at our monthly fatherhood meetings.
You can donate to Fathers on a Mission by logging online to fathersonamission.com. Learn about the programs, learn about upcoming events. As we said, there is a donate tab where you can help out Fathers on a Mission and what they are attacking daily. At what age group are you starting to make the difference? It looks like you are. Everybody is in play here.
Yeah. So you know, when it comes to father, you know, it just, you know, fathering these days starts at teenage years, right? So anywhere from whenever a father becomes a father up to the grandfather age, we have guys of all races, sizes, and statuses that come to our meetings. And we have different. It's amazing at all the resources that we have. There's a lot of resources in our city, but unfortunately they're hidden. So we go out there, dig and find them and bring them to our meetings to serve fathers of every age level.
I am signing up right now. As it says, there is a get involved tab right there on your website, Fathers on a Mission. How do people get involved out there? If somebody is listening to this and is drawn to you guys, what's the best way to get in touch and get involved?
So actually this week we have our November fatherhood meeting on Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Family and Youth Service Center. It's the old visually impaired school on Government Street. That's 1120 Government Street. Come by the meeting, check us out, see what we're about. We have all types of giveaways. I'm talking about when I say I have a partnership with Walmart Zachary, and they give us all types of great stuff. And so we just turn around and just give it away to guys that come. Also, you can reach me directly at 225-247-2106. We also have our father and daughter dance that's coming up on December the 18th. That will be at Helix Academy Aviation School in their big hangar, 10,000 square foot hangar.
Wow.
It's going to be decorated, dinner served. It's going to be, it's nice. It's going to be our 4th annual dance. And then we also have a mentoring component where we go into the schools and the communities and churches and things and have different life skills mentoring sessions with kids.
You can email Fathers on a Mission as well at FOAMBR. So that's Fathers on a Mission BR. FOAMBR2020@gmail.com to connect with them as well. I just got the email sent to me after I signed up, so it's a very easy process on the website at fathersonamission.com. Man, LeVar, this is very cool stuff. How did you get into this?
It was a mix of, you know, growing up without my father being present by his own choosing, going through life, learning a lot of things after the fact. So personally, I try to figure out what is it that I could do to prevent other fathers or kids going through the struggles that I went through. And so I seen that there was not the resources necessary right there available for fathers. So through a lot of prayer and faith, I stepped into that lane and I just keep pushing with it. So like I said, we want to make sure that a lot of struggles that I went through and that I see other fathers go through, regardless of your status, to make sure that there are resources available for them.
What a great program. What a need in our community as well. Thank you for the time this morning, and we look forward to working with you and helping as much as we can and being a part of this. FathersOnAmission.com. FathersOnAmission.com. Get involved. Log online this morning to the website and sign up right there. Give them your contact. And this is great, man. Thank you very much for what you do for our community.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
You got it, man. There is LeVar Robinson checking in this morning from Fathers on a Mission, fathersonamission.com. The website's awesome. Check it out over this morning and get involved. That is if you care about our community and want to see our impact on a community. I think this is definitely an initiative that we can all pull towards. I think this would be great. Shout out to LeVar Robinson. Shout out to Joey Mulinaro for stopping by. Wilson Alexander, the Carpool Queen. Jordan Peck, newest addition, introduced
Chris
of the
Collinsworth
team this morning. Chris Collinsworth.
Andrew Luck,
Coach O, Coach Saban, the entire crew on this busy Monday.
Show.
Remember, before you get out of here, please hit that like button. We appreciate that very much. If we could thank you all individually, we could. But just know that we appreciate you hitting that button. Make sure you're subscribed. Also hit the alert button. That's just that bell right there. That way, any content that we go live with, you'll be alerted as we will continue to talk about this LSU football job and opening. LSU Arkansas this week coming up, so a tough one. The Carpool Queen and I are going to head over to LSU today for the in-person press conference, which will be good to be around all the media members and back in front of everybody. Good to see Coach O and the crew.
Old friends,
just chumming it up, man. Talking about fishing holes. Have a good day. Have a good Monday.
What's new on y'all's docket? I haven't seen you in a while.
Go Chevrolet, driving us every day.